Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down the Nhl Dfs slate for Wednesday, February 22nd. We got ourselves just a 3-game slate here tonight, where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays, and then we'll wrap up today's video talking a little prize picks. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals, where you can see 2 of these games are coming in with an implied total of 6 goals even. And then we got this game between the Jets and Islanders coming in at 5.5 goals. And then take a look down here at the Vegas odds, where you can see the Stars, Flames, and Islanders are all favored to win tonight. And here's a quick schedule update for this week. A video here today, tomorrow, and Friday, breaking down each one of those Nhl Dfs slates. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of line stacks that I like here for tonight. Now, being that it's just a 3-game slate here, we need to find ways to make our lineups unique or contrarian, especially when it comes to playing tournaments. Whether or not you're new to Nhl Dfs or not, that's a pretty standard approach across the DFS industry on these smaller slates. So I'll be looking to target some power play stacks or even some full game stacks myself, which is part of the reason I like this first line here for the Arizona Coyotes. We got Hayton centering Keller and Schmaltz, and all 3 of these guys play up on the #1 power play together, so it's a strongly correlated line stack, and these guys have been awesome here since the All-Star break, having combined for 10 goals, 15 assists, 25 points in their last 7 games, and honestly, I don't mind the matchup at home here tonight against the Calgary Flames, who haven't necessarily played their best hockey since the All-Star break, having allowed 3.43 goals per game, with a penalty kill that's hit at just a 74% rate. Now, with this next line stack here, I definitely could have highlighted that first line for the Dallas Stars, Roope Hintz centering Jason Robertson and Joe Pavelski, but I think everybody knows they're going to be the most popular line stack on this 3-game slate here tonight, so I wanted to take a little different approach. I just mentioned doing some game stacking, and I don't mind running this game back here between Arizona and Calgary with that second line for the Flames. Kadri with Peltier and Huberdeau, all 3 of these guys are playing on the same power play as well. Now, technically, they have them listed as the #2 power play, but if you go look at the last few games here, they've actually been on the ice more than the other power play. Needless to say, Calgary does a pretty good job of splitting up their top 2 power plays, and these guys will see time on the special teams. And obviously, I don't mind the matchup here against the Arizona Coyotes, who have played well here since the All-Star break, but generally speaking, not a great defensive team, and their goaltending has struggled this year. They're allowing 3.44 goals per game this season, with a penalty kill that's hit at just a 76% rate. So again, this is more of a game stack approach here for tournaments, being that it is just a 3-game slate tonight. Now folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. And don't forget, I am running that Discord channel too. If you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below. We got a great group of people in there talking some hockey and talking some prize picks as well. Alright, now diving into some of my favorite individual plays here, I'm going to talk through some different stacking scenarios that I like, again being that it is just a 3-game slate here. For starters, we're going to kick it off with the New York Islanders. I got Brock Nelson here, and I like stacking him up with Kyle Palmieri and Noah Dobson, getting a little 3-man stack there with 3 guys who are all up on the #1 power play, and I think it's going to go a little under the radar. A lot of people are still on that first line with Bo Horvat. You got Andersley up on the first line as well. I kind of like pivoting off of that myself. Now, Brock Nelson has been fantastic here as of late, having racked up 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points over his past 10 games, averaging close to 3.5, 4 shots on net per game as well. Really like the way that he's shooting the puck. And again, Kyle Palmieri, really cheap price tag of $4,000, plays on that second line with Brock Nelson, and being that Matt Barzal is out right now, we're seeing him up on the #1 power play, and he's been pretty solid himself here as of late, again considering his price tag. 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points over his past 10, got 1 power play goal there, while averaging close to 2.5 shots on net per game. I then got Mark Scheifele there of the Winnipeg Jets. Now, to be honest, I'm not going to be super heavy on the Jets here tonight, because I really do like Ilya Sorokin as a goaltender option for the New York Islanders, but Mark Scheifele here at $6,200 I do believe is a bit too cheap, especially considering it is just a 3-game slate. He leads this team with 34 goals this year, 8 more than the next guy in Kyle Connor, and he's up on that first line with Kyle Connor and the #1 power play. He's just a super consistent player. You can see he's racked up 6 goals, 3 assists, 9 points in his past 10, averaging close to 3 shots on net per game. Again, not going to be super heavy on the Jets here tonight, but if I had to do a little mini stack, it's Scheifele and Connor. Could even mix in a Josh Morrissey, but ultimately $6,200, I do believe that is too cheap for Mark Scheifele. I then got Jamie Benn there of the Dallas Stars. Now, I mentioned earlier that first line of Rope Hintz, Jason Robertson, and Joe Pavelski will be the most popular line stack on this 3-game slate here tonight. I do believe that will be the case. That's not to say I don't want exposure to them, though. I just got to find a unique way to play those guys. Maybe I play all 3 of those guys with Jamie Benn, getting exposure to 4 forwards on the #1 power play, mix in a Miro Heiskanen. You could do a little mini stack with Jamie Benn and Miro Heiskanen, or you could do something like Jamie Benn, Jason Robertson, and Miro Heiskanen, understanding that Jamie Benn and Robertson aren't going to play together 5-on-5, but Robertson leads the team in expected goals and goals. Benn is 3rd on the team in expected goals and goals. Not crazy to think that both of those guys score in this game tonight in a great matchup at home against the Chicago Blackhawks, one of the worst defensive teams in the NHL. Overall, Jamie Benn has been really solid this year. 22 goals, 25 assists, 47 points, 3 goals here in his last 5 games, and he had a 2-point game against Chicago earlier this season with 3 shots on net. Next, I got Andrew Mangiapane there of the Calgary Flames, and I always think that 3rd line for the Flames is interesting. If you wanted to stack up Backlund with Mangiapane and Coleman, those guys are very affordable and have shown some really nice upside this year. And if you've watched my videos throughout the year, you guys know how effective they are 5-on-5 too. But Mangiapane here, I kind of like stacking them up with that second line that I highlighted earlier, because all 4 of those forwards play on the same power play together, mix in a Noah Hanifin, and a great matchup against the Arizona Coyotes, who again have struggled defensively this year, and Mangiapane's just played some of his best hockey of the season as of late, racking up 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points here in his past 10 games. He's a +11 as well, again showing you how good that 3rd line is 5-on-5, and I certainly don't mind the way he's shooting the puck right now. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, it's going to be very straightforward with my approach here tonight, stacking up these defensemen with forwards on the same power play. Look, if you're trying to get unique with your defensemen, you could definitely pay down at this position. Try to target guys who are playing 20+ minutes still, though, and maybe get some extra time on the penalty kill. Could have 3 block shots in this game and get you that 3-point DraftKings bonus. But again, I certainly don't mind spending up, especially considering it is just a 3-game slate. Noah Dobson, talked about him earlier, stacking him up with guys like Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri on that #1 power play for the New York Islanders. Miro Heiskanen with the Dallas Stars, good matchup at home against Chicago. Noah Hanifin, Calgary Flames, stacking him up with that second line that I highlighted earlier, or even do a little mini stack with him and Mangiapane, and then Valimaki there of the Arizona Coyotes. His price is coming up, being that he's playing bigger minutes and up on the #1 power play for the Coyotes right now. And always keep an eye on Jakob Chychrun. I know he's not playing right now because he is on the trade block, but he could realistically come back at any given time. But assuming that he is out again tonight, definitely like this price tag and stacking him up with that first line for the Coyotes that I highlighted earlier. And then my favorite goaltender play here tonight is Ilya Sorokin. Now, if you're looking to go the safe route, that's going to be Jake Ottinger in the Dallas Stars. They're heavy favorites, -425 on the money line right now, catching a Chicago Blackhawks team who is one of the worst in the NHL, playing on back-to-back nights. I like Ilya Sorokin, though, as my favorite tournament goaltender. The upside he's shown this year is tremendous, some of the best in the NHL, and he's fantastic when he plays at home. He's got a goals allowed average of 2.08 and a save percentage of .932, averaging close to 17.5 DraftKings points per game. He's second in the NHL in goals save above expected and has the 5th best save percentage, too. So I like this price here at $7,900. Winnipeg definitely has some guys that can find the back of the net, but when Sorokin is on his game, he's someone that can go for 30-plus DraftKings points. But before we move on from the goalie position here, I got to give my standard 3-game goalie pitch. Being that we have just 6 to choose from on this 3-game slate, I truly believe there's a case to be made to roster any one of these goaltenders in your tournament lineups. It really comes down to what the rest of your lineup looks like. So if I want to roll out a Winnipeg Jets power play stack tonight, then no, it obviously doesn't make sense to play Ilya Sorokin. So build your lineups and then figure out what goalie makes sense, or vice versa. Put a goaltender in and then build the rest of your lineup that isn't negatively correlated. And as always, going to wrap up the spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub 4K forward plays. Got some dart throws, being that it is just a 3-game slate. Not the best of options in the 2 to 3K range, but I do got 3 guys for you here. First with Tyler Johnson of the Chicago Blackhawks. Plays on the second line and up on the number 1 power play. Tough matchup on the road tonight for sure against the Dallas Stars, but he's been solid when healthy and in the lineup this year, having racked up 7 goals, 12 assists, 19 points in 30 games. Next is Nick Bjugstad there of the Arizona Coyotes, who plays on the second line and up on the number 1 power play. So again, stacking him up with the forwards on that number 1 power play. And he's really having his best season in what seems to be about 6 years. He's racked up 13 goals, 10 assists, 23 points in 57 games. As someone who definitely logs a lot of minutes, averaging around 17 minutes per game. And then we got Arnaud Durando of the New York Islanders, made his NHL debut last game while playing on the third line in number 2 power play. He played 14 minutes in that game and did have 4 shots on net, was actually very noticeable at times. But again, it was his NHL debut. You know, he's got a little extra excitement in that game, but he's a bare minimum price here at $2,500 and made some noise earlier in the AHL this year, having racked up 13 goals, 20 assists, 33 points, and 48 AHL games. And then to wrap up this video here, want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. Had ourselves a good night last night, ended up going 3-0. Gonna look to keep that rolling here tonight, but generally speaking on these smaller slates, the lines are usually pretty tight. I got one that's sticking out to me here as I record this morning, but I got to find a good one to pair it with. I'm going to try and do that as soon as possible, but I got to do my research here on all of these picks like I always do, and then I'll let you know my final picks in a comment below on this video. I'll be sure to pin that comment as well, and don't forget I am posting those picks on my Discord channel too, and if you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below. Now, if you have not signed up for Prize Picks yet, but you want to get in on this action, I got a promo code that you should definitely take advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, and Prize Picks will give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. Now, you do not have to put $100 in either. If you want to put in 50, they'll match 50. You want to put in 20, they'll match that $20. And again, they'll match anything up to $100 as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, upon signing up. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this 3-game slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.